All right, we're working on learning about characteristics of chemical reactions. And this lab is called Signs of a Chemical Reaction. And looking at our assignment, reactions between substances are happening all the time, both in the laboratory and in our daily lives. Some changes occur during these interactions are physical, while some are chemical. Some can be quite dramatic, such as explosions or the creation of totally new substances with strong colors or odors, while others can be quite subtle. How can we tell in the laboratory if a chemical reaction actually occurred? Conduct a series of chemical reactions and observe firsthand some of the indicators that a chemical reaction has taken place. So the question we're going to try to answer throughout this investigation is, how can we tell if a chemical change occurs? And our hypothesis is, if I combine two or more ingredients and notice an odor, unusual color change, bubbling, temperature change, or energy change, then a chemical change has occurred. And Mr. Olson's going to show us what materials that we're going to be using today to investigate.
All right, so we have our materials set up already. We have magnesium sulfate. We have sodium carbonate right here. We have calcium chloride. This is a big part of the reason why we're wearing gloves and protective gear. Here we have sodium bicarbonate right here. And then we have some cabbage juice right here. So what's our first step?
Step 1 says to obtain 200 milliliters of red cabbage juice solution in a 250 milliliter beaker. Obtain a small cup of each of the white powders, which we have done here. So step 2 says we're going to add 50 milliliters of red cabbage juice. So we've pre-measured 50 milliliters of red cabbage juice in the cup labeled magnesium sulfate. And then we're going to stir with a clean spoon. While we are doing this, we're going to observe any changes that occur and record this in the data table on the next page.
All right, so here we go.
The second step also says we need to make sure to touch the outside of the cup to observe any temperature changes. So this is adding the red cabbage juice solution to the magnesium sulfate. I'm starting to, and do we feel any temperature changes, Mr. Olson?
It feels a little bit colder than I would expect. How does that color compare there? It looks like we have a bit of a color change as well.
Like it's getting a little bit
Purplish.
more purple.
Lish, do you see any bubbles?
No.
No. Oh, it looks like some of our magnesium sulfate still on the bottom, but it's definitely getting colder. So we'll leave this one right here and we'll go on to the next one.
Okay, step 3 says perform the same procedure for the remaining powders. So we're going to do this for each one and record in our data table. So the next one is the sodium carbonate and the cabbage juice.
So we have our sodium carbonate. Here's our cabbage juice. We'll put it up here so we can see. Well, that's a very strong color change.
That one is a very dramatic color change.
Goes to this bluish greenish color.
And then we stir that one.
Oh, this was nice. It's nice and warm. So we definitely had a color change.
So far it's turning more like green, like a teal color.
Yeah.
And as it more dissolves, we'll see how it changes even further. And I don't
it's
see
definitely
any,
getting warmer.
I don't see any gas being produced. There's no bubbles. And it's not forming a precipitate, which would mean that it was forming some solid material in there.
Yeah, and then normally that goes to the bottom, but our solid material here at the bottom is still the sodium carbonate. Yeah, that one really got warm. That was a cool one. Put those back here, so I'm trying not to knock into them. Do you want to open the door so we're better ventilated for this one? So our next one is calcium chloride right here. Here, this one will produce some fumes, so we have the windows open, the doors, we have some fans on to prevent us from the fumes. And so we'll take a look here, and we will observe. Oh, do you notice that color change there?
Yep, it's turning a little more blue.
Yeah, blue, and as it sits there, it's almost a bit of a green tint as well. It's weird to start with that purple color and then have it change. Oh, why do you feel this? Did it get warmer or colder?
Oh, definitely warmer.
Yeah, this one definitely got warmer as well. And then as I look closely here, I don't see any gas being produced. At the bottom, I don't see any precipitate. What's left at the bottom is still our calcium chloride. But that one definitely got warm, which is kind of nice because we have the windows open.
All right, and the last one, sodium bicarbonate.
Here, look here. So all 4 of these are white-looking powders. Oh, that's a cool color change. I'll see if I can get it closer here. Here, so we have a very strong blue. This one definitely feels like it's getting colder, but we're going to give it a second.
Okay.
It turned blue. I do not see any gas being produced, and I do not see any precipitate at the bottom. And then we have a temperature change, and it is definitely getting colder, despite what my answer key says. Without a doubt, it is much colder in comparison to these ones that got warmer already. And here we can see some clear differences between these. Okay. Here are our notes. I'll see if I can get rid of that glare. Here, you can pause or zoom in to freeze this. However, number 4, the sodium bicarbonate and the cabbage juice got colder instead of an increase. So it decreased in temperature instead of increased.
So for the second part, we are going to be mixing some of these chemicals. So the first one is the magnesium sulfate with sodium carbonate. So we have a plastic bag labeled A, and we're going to use the pipette to add 3 droppers full of the magnesium sulfate to bag A. With 3 droppers.
Oh, 3 whole droppers full?
3 droppers.
Oh, good clarifying. That's why you have the instructions with it.
Yep, 3 droppers.
That will also make it more visible. What was the next one?
And then we're going to use the pipette to add 3 droppers of sodium carbonate to bag A.
Sodium carbonate, and that was the second one here. Here, so just like the last one, we're going to be looking for color change, temperature change, if a gas is produced, if there's a precipitate, meaning something formed at the bottom, or a solid formed. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the bottom. So we're going to put in 3 of these here. So we have this purple. We're going to add this yellow. Oh, look at that.
So 2 more. It looks like I can see some precipitate forming.
And number 3. Yeah, so there's definitely something solid in there now. Now I'm going to seal this up so we don't spill. And I don't feel any temperature change. What about you?
Nope, no temperature change.
All right, so we have a solid precipitate that formed at the bottom. We can kind of move the bag and you can see there's some grains that remain.
And it's a little less clear, so it's more of a cloudy blue-green color.
Oh yeah, we definitely had that color change. All right, so what's the next one?
Okay, step 2, we were, for in bag B, we are going to use the same procedure. So 3 droppers full from a pipette of magnesium sulfate and calcium chloride. There's our magnesium sulfate.
You can really see some of the color here. So calcium chloride is this one over here. And we're going to take a look, see what kind of reactions we have. We have a good color change in there. How would you describe that color change there?
I would say that this one is like turning more of a light greenish color.
So that was 3 as well. Oh, it looks like there might be some white solid grains in there as well. Well, I don't feel much of a temperature change. I think it's just a little warm because it was warm from the first experiment. But we don't have...
No bubbles, so there's no gas being produced. But we do have a little bit of a precipitate forming as it's getting a little cloudy.
Yeah, we'll see. You can see some of it here in the corner, some of these grains. I can kind of pinch it, and then you can really see that there's some solid material left behind.
And for bag C, we're going to add magnesium sulfate and sodium bicarbonate.
Oh, we're going to use the other side of the sandwich bag. Do you know how many that was?
Those 3.
That's 3, okay. Okay,
And then sodium bicarbonate.
Good call to mix that up. 2, 3, 'Good up here. I think I see a nice blue here. Here, and then there's definitely a temperature change. And we feel it. It definitely feels colder. So we had a color change. It changed to a blue. Ooh, the temperature definitely got colder, so it decreased, because we like to use decrease or increase in science.
See some gas forming as there's bubbles up here. It looks kind of like it does in soda when you have the bubbles coming to the top.
And then I don't see, oh, there's that part spilling. I don't see any precipitate in here. There's a little bit of white powder at the bottom, but that's because when I use the pipette here, I grab from the remaining baking soda down at the bottom, so that's what that solid is there. So there is no precipitate formed during this one.
All right, and in bag D, we're going to mix calcium chloride and sodium bicarbonate. So 3 pipettes of each, calcium chloride and sodium bicarbonate.
So calcium chloride, that's this one right here. Okay.
and sodium bicarbonate.
Sodium bicarbonate. So I'm going to try to grab more from the solution this time.
That AT&T helmet will change my whole